Hello everyone, welcome, zooming the Tibetan Buddhist Society of Canberra's regular Tuesday night teachings on Buddhist philosophy. During this term, we are looking at 5th chapter of Bodhisattva's way of life. So thank you for joining me. If you are first-timer or regulars, please stay tuned, because when you listen to the teachings and thoughts of amazing thinker of an 8th, 7th century Indian Buddhist monk called Shantideva, it will change you in the way that you thought was not possible. So because of that, we are very happy to be going through these teachings, because we know how much a good gift it is to spend some time each week lending our ears to something that is so useful and so enlightening. So we're going to continue the reading, but before we start that, I'll do a short prayer. This prayer is a kind of a affirmation, the need to understand our life and why it is so difficult at times, why it can't be differently. And we are often struggling, not knowing which turn to take, and often most of the turns we take seems to be wrong or not quite right. And so there's a lot that we can do that are safer. So refuge, because we need to have refuge. We need to have true refuge, where we feel really better and safer and kinder, and all the sanities coming back. So to that we turn to refuge, to the Buddha, the enlightened one, and the Dharma, the priceless teaching of his, and the Sangha, the living kind of a living community who upholds these teachings, propagate these teachings, practice these teachings, and support these kind of activities. So we therefore honor our spiritual friends and our community, and mostly our spiritual teachers and their teachers and their teachers, and therefore the teachings itself, the Dharma, and of course the original teacher, real teacher, is the Buddha. So with that, we include also developing a kind of really altruistic motivation that from listening and thinking of these teachings, not only it makes our evening, but it also makes our mind and our life, and the benefit to ripple effect of this will benefit to many places and spaces. With that kind of optimism, we therefore say these prayers, and then followed by commitment to practice loving kindness. If you really have refuge in the Triple Gem, particularly when things get really difficult, you should always remember loving kindness. You know, it's more better than to remember loving kindness than God or even Buddha. You know, if you remember loving kindness, then you are still safe. Your attitude and your approach and response will be different. Loving kindness and compassion, and when you do these two regularly in your life, you will find that there's a lot of joy. There's a lot of joy in your life. There's a lot of life in your life, you know, because you are doing loving kindness and compassion, because you have refuge in the Triple Gem, and therefore you don't resort to violence or aggression or retaliation. And even if people are like that, you develop the kindness and compassion and for tolerance, and how to have the fitness to practice that joyfully, not emaciated by lack of love and compassion, which a lot of people's problem is because they're so self-centered, they're so self-important. So loving kindness, compassion, joyfulness, and then even you do that, still sometimes you could not help everyone. So you have to practice equanimity. Some people, how much you care and love them, but they're so difficult to deal with them. And some people are so hard to you, but even them, you have to have a bit of equanimity to them. They are them or they are your projection. When you have equanimity, you'll see them are projection. When you don't have equanimity, you think it's all them. So these 4 things also I reflect before we do the practice, the teaching. So a couple of moments, if you join your hands and just reflect briefly all the importance of this. Yenda Buddha Dharma Sangha Aitere Fede Ladem Bhavaja Ajeve Handala Ajare Buddha Vajave Enda Buddha Dharma Sangha Aitere Fede Ladem Bhavaja Ajeve Handala Ajare Buddha Vajave Enda Buddha Dharma Sangha Aitere Fede Ladem Bhavaja Ajeve Handala Ajare Buddha Vajave. May all beings happiness and the cause of happiness. May they be free from suffering and the cause of suffering. May they never from the happiness that suffering. May they dwell equanimity, free from attachment and aversion to those near and far. May all beings have happiness and cause of happiness. May they be free from suffering and the cause of suffering. May they never part from happiness that knows no suffering. May they dwell in equanimity, free from attachment and aversion to those near and far. May all beings have happiness and cause of happiness. May they be free from suffering and the cause of suffering. May they never part from happiness that knows no suffering. May they dwell in equanimity, free from attachment, aversion to those near and far. Mazam Jemejera Baraja Majimengang and Wanya Sozorari Tozanja Yumla Janzalo Ngade Bara Angade Bara Zangade Bodhisattva Engade Bara Angade Bara Zangade Bodhisattva Engade bara za engade bodhisattva. Engade bara za engade bodhisattva. Engade Angade Barangade Parasangade Bodhisattva Angade 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 Angade Barangade Parasangade Bodhisattva Namo Lama Choedak Sanjala Janzala Jala Janzala Ginila Jan Imjima Jere Jebara Jimala Janzala Jena La Janzala Tudana Denda Jagadim Tsin the George Chidanga Boje Jinji Imjima Jere Jebara the Jimbadan Samahila Sangi Kadan Jibetu the Nevaladin Do the Jala Soba Jenda Vatation Dagi Imjima Jere Jebara the Jimadan Samahila Sangi Kadan Jibetu the Nevaladin Dan Kordan Jibetan Bachu Banjamin Children Baba Conjosum the Kaya de Menin the Dadani the Chair Dobra Juja Mebra Juja Shevaji Radu Shevara Juja Namala Janzala Sanjala Janzala Chala Janzala Gendela Janza Imjimajara Jibara the Chimala Jan General Janza to the Nevaladin and the Jacketin Betsin to the Rebajis Dangela and Bajiji Imjimajara Jibara the Jimatanzam Hilas in Sekadan Jiba to the Nevaladin and Dutizela Sova Jenda Batendo Dagi Imjimajara Jibara the Jimatanzam Hilas in Sekadan Jiba to the Nevaladin and Dakodan Jiba Tamashir Panjamini Chotamshi Papa Conjusum the Kaya de Betadani to Shela and Dobra Juja Mevaji Radu Shevara Namala Janzala Sanjala Janzala Jala Janzala Gendela Janza Imjima Jeraji Bara Jimala Janza, General Janza, to the Nevaladin and Dazakid, but seemed to the Duberjuji. Chidarango, Lion by Jajin, Imjima Jeraji Para, the Jimada, some Elas in Zikadan, to the Nevaladin. Do the jealous of a Jindova Dajin, Dagi, Imjima Jeraji Para, the Nazam Elas in Zikadan, to the Nevalin. Tankodan Jivatamba, Chidra Banjamin, the children, Baba Conjosum, Jakayan, Betadani, the Jel, and Dobra Juja, Mevra, Shevra, Jera, the Jura Jujan. Don't I just show them and then never get on and the hundreds Try it, Dejan Dindra del Jo. So, thank you once again, everyone joining. So, we are going through the amazing writing and I think realizational writings. The Shantideva's writings are not just the kind of a poetry writing, but it's more like realizational writings. His realizational, his writings are only he realized them to be true, and so it's very much like an engraving on the rock. It will not be erasable as someone's ideas. They will have a true impact on you when you pay attention to his realizations. So that's why we pay great credence and importance to go through the text and then give commentary and explain and try to draw the meanings that we can best learn, so that his realization actually makes a penny drop in our life, so that we begin to see things in a very very clear fashion. And this chapter is all about how to guard your mind. Suppose to guard your mind, you've got to know what is mind that need to be guarded. And often we lose our mind in things as if there are things that are trouble. And we don't realize our thought, our mind about it is what we need to really take care of rather than the object. So that being able to see one's mind and role what it plays, our attitude, and being able therefore guard it so that it doesn't take the wrong steps is really what constitutes guarding the mind. And so here we come to the middle of this chapter where Shantideva is talking about how a person who has who guards his mind learn to watch his behavior in relation to how we talk about the people. So we are starting with verse number 76. It's a Korna Yunten Jojashing. Means that Korna Yunten Jojashing means you should speak of their qualities in their back, you know. So if you talk about anyone that are not there, you should talk the qualities of those people. So reason that you do that is that if you are able to talk the qualities of other people behind their back, then you have guarded your mind. Because you are able to see their qualities. The qualities of other people are only seen by people who has their mind focused on the right object, right things. If the mind is focused on negative things, they have not guarded their mind. So they only talk behind the back of people. No, this is not actually just talking about who does and who doesn't. Lots of the time, we all do. We talk about one nice things into people when they're in front, when we talk something different to us behind their back. You know, that is the biggest kind of base of the hypocrisy of everyone. So hypocrisy is a big problem for most people. They talk nice things in front of you, but they talk bad things about people. And so here, one who is now taking the steps to train and guard the mind should learn to do otherwise. You should talk their good qualities be in their absence. Why? When you do that, what happens is if you speak good things about the people who are not in front of you, then people you're talking to really can feel the benefit. They see the positive. They like to hear right speech. They would like to hear positive speech. They like to hear kind speech. They like to see respectful speech. They like to hear courteous speech. Now, if you can talk that behind the person, it will greatly delight yourself and the person who is listening to, and any onlookers for that matter. Yunde Jona Jesuju, meaning that Yunde Jona Jesuju means if they are praised by other people, you should agreeably praise even more. You don't say, oh, I disagree with that, he's not that good, or something like that. If you do that, you have lost your mind to the negativity. If someone praises, say, Mr. A, and that they are actually doing exactly what teaching says we should, and then you should agreeably, do the same agreeably, because then you will see. You don't say, no, I object that or something. Some people say that in meetings. Oh, I object that. I disagree with that, and even they may disagree a few things. They don't need to say that. Why? Because you're guarding your mind. You have no idea what people will think when you say that. They feel completely, completely ignored or rejected, and just never respect them. So therefore, if somebody praises somebody, then you should agree with their praise, and that's really good. That's that's very good. Even though you have some kind of different opinion, even though you have a different experience of the person, but you should not contradict and become argumentative with other person who is singing praise of others. That's being able to say good things of other people in the back yourself, and being able to agreeably praise the other people when some other people praise the people is a good song. Rangi yonde jonate yonde shebarik parcha. So, but when the qualities the other people praise are yours, if they say, for instance, they seem to be saying kind things, good things about you, yonde shebarik parcha, appreciate their skill in knowing qualities. So you just show your appreciation that they know your qualities. I don't know about that really. I suppose it shouldn't. I would say that instead of thinking, oh, good, they know how good I am, type of thing. I don't think that's what really. I knew I was this good. He better say like this one more time. Not that kind of thing. I think I should say that in this one, if some people say good things about you, you should think, oh, they're very generous, or they're very, 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 very kind. I try my best, but I'm not as really good as much as they say. But I'm really inspired. So when you can think like that, that's really, really, really humble. Because if somebody praises you and you become so cheered up by that, and you say, oh, your face turns, you become very emotional, that means you're full of yourself. So you got to feel, you feel even a little bit embarrassed. But people saying good things about you, and you should say, oh, he's very generous, he's very kind to me, he's very wonderful, he's so kind like that, but I have so much room to improve. I probably have more room, more things I need to do to worthy of receiving this praise. I think if you think like that, really, I think that's an important one, because if you think, oh, he knows how good I am, that's really good, appreciate their skill in knowing my qualities, doesn't seem right to interpretation from my point of view. Even if they speak good things, they know your qualities, but I think you can better than that. They say they're very generous, they're very kind. I have a lot more work to do to be worthy of their praise. If you think like that, that's really like one whose mind is really guarded very well, so he doesn't become puffed up other people's praise and doesn't think I'm worthy of it also. And not very critically that you're not unworthy, but saying that I rather would do even a bit more work to worthy of receiving that praise. If you think like that, so that's really, really what you call subjective, isn't it? So this whole chapter is about how to be subjective When people talking nice things about other people in front of you, what do you think? How do you behave? What do you talk about people when they are behind their back? So you have to very, very subjectively aware what you're doing. So therefore, you are always guarding your mind. As a result of that, you are very, very conscious. You're very conscious of your own thoughts, either they are reasonable or unreasonable. If you're about to say bad things about someone not there, someone's behind there, someone's back, and then you have to see, if I say these bad things on the back, behind the other person, to these people, what I'm trying to do, what is my motivation? You straight away big questions, And so therefore you have to restrain yourself from speaking behind people's back. And that's when you have your mind, when your mind is guarded. But often you will notice that your mind is not guarded, and yet you just went and said very negative things, very condescending things about someone who's not there. And it will discourage people. Other people don't like the negative remarks you made. They will see it's quite aggressive and quite disrespectful or quite discourteous and very destructive and very kind of poisonous kind of statement. So a person who guards his mind will not speak behind people's back because of that. Because of that, he is very, very conscientious about the consequences of what he's saying, what you're really saying. Even if you believe in your little opinions, but just expressing it has consequences. So next time people will say, you said that. And then you really regret you said that, and you really wish you didn't say. And then that's the whole thing. So if you have the power to restrain yourself speaking behind people's back, that is a really person who has heeded to Shantideva, Shantideva. And if when the other people are actually praising someone who's absent, maybe you have slightly different reading of the other person, but still you go to talk how agreeably you can support this person's views, not because you don't have a different view, but it's not useful. That's not useful to give another different opinion, because you rather have the positive benefit of agreeing something good for everyone, rather than you being a prong to deviate from that. And so that should other people become very generous in saying kind things about you, and then you become even more conscientious. Oh, what does that mean? This is going to inflate my ego? Or is it because I'm as good as he prays, or is it because he's very, very generous to say that, and I would want to have worthy of these qualities, but I'm very humbled by that. See? There's a lot of choices how the person actually is being able to witness his mind, or is conscious of his attitude, and what the consequences they may have to one's mind there subsequently. So that's really, really important point. Tsomba tamche gachir te teniringi nyonangon. Yeah. So that means all effort has one purpose, that is to make oneself delighted or happy. Every effort we make is so that it actually delights us. And even with great wealth, you cannot buy it. Delight and joy cannot be bought with money. You cannot have a pocket full of money and go to the shops and buy how to be happy, how to be joyful. So therefore, he says that because joy and happiness cannot be found, but yet every endeavor we make are for that purpose. Tete shinje yundengi gawe dewa chepracha. So therefore, take a pleasure in the goodness of other people. You rejoice the good doings of other people, and then let them be a heartfelt joy to you. You look in the kindness of the worthy and virtuous things that other people do. Look the good in other people and look the good they do. This is the kind of joy you couldn't buy with money or from anywhere. So your own ingenuity to rejoice and rejoice the qualities, rejoice the discipline of somebody, rejoice the harmony of some people, rejoice the generosity of somebody, rejoice the selfless sacrifice people make, rejoice the kind of discipline they have, rejoice the patience they have, rejoice the good family they have, and even if you don't have family, you don't need one, because their family of others people's joy, harmony gives you more delight, Maybe your own family doesn't give you delight. Yeah, that's right. I mean, it's only that only the grass is always greener over there. People think they are very happy, but who knows? So if you can rejoice other people's, maybe the children are very, very respectful of their parents, you should rejoice. Oh, they're so good children. If the mother is very, very gentle and kind, you say, oh, she's so kind and gentle. I know that all mothers are like this. If I just look the good in others, I can spot the good in others. Because we tend to see what we're thinking of other people. If you see the good of other people, then you will see the good in other people. When you see the good in other people, you will find every little effort is usually fruitlessly wasted. But with this good joy and good gratitude that you have other people trying to see the good in others, you will be delighted in no time. This is amazing, And if you don't have to have leg to run, but if people run quickly, people run very well, rejoice them, and you will have so much joy for them running and them reaching, or them doing certain things, and they're doing science or math or dharma or retreat or a lot of amazing work they do. You just rejoice them. Rejoicing is one of the 7 limbs of Mahayana practice. If you don't have rejoicing ability, then you are crippled. Lots of people are depressed. Why? Because they don't have being able to rejoice good things of other people. It's amazing. It's free, it's free, and it's legal. It's not a copyrighted. Joy is not copyrighted by other people. So if somebody is diligent or kind or lovely or generous or timely and very considerate and very generous or very patient or very nice to other people, every time you spot them, you should just rejoice. You should just rejoice. And you get up in the morning. Why? There was a good day. You had a good day. Why? You rejoice everything you saw because your mind was so switched on to see the good in things, good in others. It's not like some shops will sell you. It's not some gift people can give you. It's your own mind being able to see the good of others. Now, good in others are easily findable. It doesn't need to be, a local hero. It could be just anyone. You look at the little mother bird, try to run and fly hither and thither, find a couple of things, twigs or something, bring flies, come to the nest and make the nest to the nest, and then look up, feed the babies, and amazing, she spread her wings, and you just watch there. You're just enchanted by this selfless mother bird. She does amazing things, or a mother dog, who sees her little puppy fell down in a ditch. She just tries so hard to rescue that. Just watch that, and you will see, wow, how selfless, how generous, how industrious this mother dog is. When you see that, then you are able to find pleasure. You will find the joy in the goodness of the mother dog's selfless sacrifice she makes. And then your heartfelt rejoicing of others becomes the amazing thing that you don't find from having things or having places or whatever. People are so miserable. They live in lovely places, but still so miserable. They don't know how to mind their mind. They resort to alcohol. They resort to gambling. They're always drinking these funny spirited drinks, and they're just so restless. They always try to please the five senses, but they don't know how to, because their mind is completely ignored. But if they can find the mind, how to switch the good mind that sees good in others and then become delighted and rejoice those, then that will be the most priceless, joy that you cannot find or buy or in wealth. Even with great wealth you can't buy joy. Even with a great kind of friendship, people you have, you can't find that joy. But if you have this generosity of the unleashing the very basic goodness of your minds, then you will find this incredible joy. So that's why he says, Gawe Deva Chepracha. Gawe Deva Chepracha means let yourself be entertained by joy. Entertain yourself with joyfulness. Entertain yourself with joyfulness. Why people have to be so miserable when joy is free? And the only thing is you have to have a very positive, assertive, and a very cooperative mind that thinks this way. Dala and dirko yong mela paro tuyang dirko yomena paro tuyang dewa che. It says, by acting this way in this life, I will lose nothing. If you are very joyful, if you're very positive, you have nothing to lose. It doesn't cost you anything. You don't have to work hours and hours to get it. You just have to switch your mind in the right kind of frame, right kind of wavelength. And it didn't come at a huge price. It didn't come at a huge effort, and it didn't sort of upset others. It didn't come at a huge cost, and in the future lives, it will be cause of your future happiness. Even great bliss, sleep tomorrow, day after, week after will be the carrier of the consequences of the joyful, positive mind today. Why we are miserable? Because we did not know how to guard our mind to think like that yesteryears and so on, and therefore you are suffering the consequences of a mind failing to be delightful in the past. Parodyan Devachis. The sin of envy brings not joy but pain. Now the opposite of if you fail to guard your mind and not learn how to rejoice, then the sin or wrongdoing of that because if you don't feel rejoice, then you feel jealousy. You feel jealousy and envy to other people will brings not joy but pain. People so jealous, people so miserable because they don't know how to rejoice. Because they didn't know how to rejoice, they become miserable. They're miserable of other people's industry or diligence or hardworking or harmony or generosity or or whatever the person is, because they lack that mind, and therefore they are miserable. It becomes cause of their suffering. The sin of envy. Envy is such jealousy, is a cardinal affliction. Jealous people have no time to rejoice the things they themselves have. they are completely ungrateful, and they enviously disapprove of what other people have or other people achieve, and they miserably think negative things of other people. And that's the cause of depression. Cause of depression is envy, jealousy, you know. And you don't get depressed if you have rejoice. I don't think these two doesn't go well, you know. One is medicine, one is poison. Now, if you have the medicine of practicing rejoicing, you know, that's why we say, may all beings have happiness, that doesn't turn into suffering. You know, if you see someone happy, if someone happy or doing this, you should rejoice them. If you rejoice them, you know, you are much more happier looking at other people having than yourself having to miserably get something for yourselves. You know, you don't have to get so many things to become happy. You just have to get your mind to be happy. If you know how to mind the mind, then you will know how to rejoice, and you will know how to drop jealousy. As simple as that. It's just one is poison, one is medicine. You drop the poison and you pick the medicine. You know. And not only the person will be miserable in this life, but in the future life, dreadful suffering. Yeah, he would end up in jealous gods, or even worse still, he may be going hungry ghost. Maybe worse still, in hell beings. Even if they're born as human beings, he might be well done, he might everything, but so miserable, so miserly, hardly gives anything, hardly say he has anything. He always talk about what he doesn't have. He doesn't even see what he's got. You know, that's the kind of consequences. A lot of people like that. They have, but they never say they have. They always, we call it in Tibetan, mukyutang, and always listing the complaint of what they didn't get, where they're at, how miserable they are, or they're only sort of miserably, you know, lamenting or nagging what they don't have. Or people don't love them, people don't respect them, or their opinions never is listened to. All thinking like they cannot see any good other people do, because the mind itself is so dreaded by this jealousy, by this self-loathing. And that's why people need to learn how to guard their mind, not to think like that. And this is not talking about Buddhism or culture. This is how everyone who has a mind need to learn how to mind it. It's just like a garden show. A garden show, everybody wanted to watch a garden show because they have a little garden and they want to know how to plant things and what season is and what will grow and how. And you know, people who live in multi-story buildings, they don't watch garden shows because they don't have gardens. You know, but this subject is not like that. You can't say, I haven't got a mind, so this is not interesting for me. You know, I have other things to do. They say, I have some clothes to mend, I will do that. I don't have a mind to mend. You know, who doesn't have a mind that needs mending? A lot of people's mind are in tatters. They're scattered. And they are really lost into this poor me mentality. And so everyone needs to heed to how to mind your mind. You know, you don't have to be interested in religion. You don't have to believe in God. You don't have to believe in a future life. It's not a big deal if you don't believe in future lives. It's not so important. You don't have to tell the world that I don't believe in future rebirth because I haven't seen. It's not so important. Who cares whether you believe in future lives or not? You know, who cares those people who believe in it? But we do care about how we mind our mind now, so that it doesn't become so negative and nagging all the time. You know, it looks at some good things. You know, try to find the mind, and who can afford not to mind the mind, because everything that we have or we don't have is determined by how well managed the mind is and how unmanaged the mind is. Mismanaged mind is all the cause of sufferings. Is proper management, correct kind of administration of your mind, learning to see your mind and what to do it, how to take some small steps to train your mind by meditating, by reading, listening to the Dharma, and it completely enables you to have a greater sort of literacy of your mind. When you know your mind, and then you can see the role it plays. And then Shantideva's, everything what Shantideva is saying is for all sentient beings, all who have minded being, all for minded beings. He's not talking for a table, he's not talking for pillars, he's not talking for the inanimate, he's talking for everyone who has a mind, particularly as a human being, needs to get a good ownership and true assess their mind and learn to empower it by practicing practicing subjective awareness of the mind itself. When you become aware of the mind itself, you know what it could be molded or directed to. You know how to point your mind to think certain thoughts because they are positive and very productive. Certain thoughts are like envy, jealousy, self-loathing, and thinking that other people don't love me or respect me or things like that. When you think like that, you're really miserable. You're so sensitive. You're so poor me. Always so easy to think of what I didn't get or what I'm not listen to. All this poor me, it becomes such a offendable one. That's because one is so dreaded by this selfishness. If one is so rejoicing of other people, if somebody praises somebody, that's what you were talking in the previous verse, you should rejoice them. Oh, he's such a delightful, Maybe you know nothing about the subject of the praise, but the way he's praised is so rejoicing. You should rejoice. Oh, someone could be so lovely, the way they can speak about him in the manner they do. Some people talk about their father or mother or their grandfather and the way they talk about it, you can see the joy and love in the eyes, and you should rejoice that. You should. If you do that, you will not have time to dread yourself with poor me. I didn't get this attention. I didn't get this compliment. I don't get praise. I don't get acknowledged. My opinion doesn't get heeded to. My work is not acknowledged. Oh, what did I do that for? Oh, what I did put all that effort for? Oh, it was never listened to. It was never implemented. When you start thinking like that, you're really, really miserable. And it is the mind that is, the attitude that is doing that. There are a lot of things that you will be appreciated. There are a lot of things people haven't said is good about you. You just have to be patient. That they can only sing praises of one at a time, So, if there's a four and your name didn't come out first and they'll talk about the other, and you feel, oh gosh, jealous and envious, and you feel, oh, how about me, And you can never see the good in the listening to the praise of the other, by the other. I mean, that is what we're talking about. And such a sin of the jealousy, such a sin, such an affliction, such a poison. It's worse than alcohol. Alcohol only harms you if you buy the bottle and drink it. But the affliction is you don't even have to buy a bottle to the bottle shop. It's just kind of ingrown. So we need to have a particular mindfulness to guard and detect and try to unseat those mentality lurking into mind. And that is really guarding the mind, vigilance. That is, we have to remain vigil and to do that, because otherwise a lot of dreaded suffering will follow in the next life. Some people born with a lot of sufferings in this life because of consequences of the previous life. The karmic pattern just repeats itself, Mana yipim dravata, tansa yidu onwata, chatan hidang pambata, jamshiremba mawacha. This verse is entirely about how to practice mindfulness of speech. Speak with honest words. So meaning, speak things that are true and beneficial. And that are coherent to the fact, mana, that is relevant, that are relevant, not just because you want to say something, but see whether it's relevant, see whether that what you say is going to really become coherently usefully relevant to the point or issue that we are talking about, Speak with honest words coherently, yeah? With coherently has a meaning of that you have to say it in point of relevance, There should be a relevance, That when you talk about something that is honest and relevantly, with candor. With candor means means which is very pleasing, very pleasing. The way the language you chose, and the body language you shows, and the tone of the language are all like a mindfulness of speech. Buddha said right speech. Yeah, this is right speech. Shantideva was saying, person who have guarded his mind will be able to tailor his voice, tailor his choice of words, where what he says is just coherent and relative and just the right thing that need to be said. That need to be said and very clear. And very clear and very harmonious. Harmonious. It's not saying taking side here and then affecting other. Not like that, Don't try to tip the balance. Try to say in a way that actually things everybody is felt heeded to and respected. Yeah. Abandon partiality. Yeah. You don't say, oh, I like this group, I don't like those groups. Don't say those things. Even if you think like that, it's got no benefit for you to speak up what you don't like. Some people really just come in the front and they want to say something because they're brave or something. Yeah, at that time people cheer you, so say that later on it will follow you. This demon will follow your steps. Yeah, bad mouth people have consequences. People will not respect the people who spoke badly or said bad things or write bad things about other people. It will haunt them, It will haunt them because it will follow. Because of your partiality, because with such enmity, such jealousy, such condescending, such kind of a bias with which you said and so on, this will stuck with you. This will stay with you. It will follow you like the ox pulling the cart. Wherever the ox goes, the cart will follow him. Whether it's heavy or empty or whatever, it will follow you. And that's why you have to be mindful of what's the benefit of me being biased against someone, even though you slightly prefer someone, but do you really need to say it? Probably not. Yeah. So you and your aversion to something. Even if you have aversion to something, you should recognize how terrible it is to have any aversion, let alone expressing your aversion. You don't say, I hate this, I hate. Lots of people, I say, I hate this, I hate this. People who have mindfulness, they wouldn't say, I hate this. It's such a terrible thing to say, I hate this. Even to say, I don't like this, we shouldn't say that as a practitioner. We shouldn't say, I don't like this. You're so childish. It's not so important what you like or what don't like. There's much more reason for that. If there are 10 of you doing something together, everybody enjoying, you say, I don't like it, I hate this, can I get out of it? You're just being erratic. So don't say like that. That's what I'm saying. Don't rock the boat. Everybody is doing something together nicely, and don't say, I hate it, I don't like this. It's like a little child, like a little kind of erratic child says that, I don't like this, I want this, and then fighting over toys, like that. So you don't become so easily express your partiality or your aversion to something, or you don't say, I love this. Even you love this, you love something, you don't say that. It's not necessary to say that. Don't talk about, I like this, I hate this, I love this. If you do that, you are losing your mind. You may love something now, but you might not like it later, So what's the point of saying? Every saying has a consequences. But even if you like something, just keep it to yourself. if you don't like something, just don't say it, because things can change. It's very powerful. This amazing cognizance of Shantideva saying, even abandon this idea of saying what I like, I hate, and abandon saying, oh, I love this. Even you like something, even you love that, but it won't last very long. So don't get too overexcited. Even your success, don't get too attached to success. You attract to success. Success will bring jealousy. Success will bring enemies. Success will bring difficult to accept anything less than that. So therefore, don't become too ambitious. This is what we're talking about. Don't become so attached to things, because how long will they last? No. Once you lose it, then you will drop. Some people want to become #1 swimmer or whatever in the world. They try so hard, thousands of hours they train, and they might even reach there. They reach that height of the peak of the fame, and then they depressed. A lot of the athletes are depressed. Physically, their body is racked by the trainings, and emotionally they are racked by the depression. Why we push people to become so like that? It's so onerous, so destructive, so hazardous to the poor little mind. Why we have to push people to be so competitive, so ego-driven, so individualistic? And Shantideva says, abandon this partiality to success and rejection of failure. Failure is sometimes good. Sometimes failure is good. Failure it teaches you remedies your pride. It's very good for you. You have difficulty remedying pride anyway, so sometimes failing is good. Failing could be when you fail something and you really subjectively guard your mind, look at it, then you realize, failing has virtue of empowering you to practice no arrogance. You have no arrogance. You can rejoice somebody else's success. That brings you more joy than your attempt of succeeding, which is not. If you succeed to rejoice others, that's a real success of success. So don't always voice your emotional ups and downs. I like this, I hate this. If you do this, you are losing your mind. And speak with moderation. You see, that's right. If you're talking about something, speak something that is appropriate, that actually is just hit on the nail, they call it. Just say something that is really, 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 really beneficial for the other people. Beneficial for other people. And what you speak is very gentle, very, very, very kindly chosen words, and the right kind of tone, and also just right amount, not too much, not insufficient, not just briefly mention and then don't elaborate, not like that, not go too much into it, just the right amount of something on the topic, and speak gently. So the Shantideva is talking about how to be mindful of one's speech, and now talking about mindfulness of how to look. He said, "Miki simchentana," Even should you catch the sight of some other people, when you see somebody, look at somebody, and think by relying on these sentient beings. As soon as you see sentient beings, only by relying on sentient beings like this, by working with them and for them, that you can opportunity to progress to Buddhahood. You should think like that. And so look on them with open, loving hearts. When you see sentient beings with such a kind mind, people say honey in the West. What do you want, honey? And they don't say the honey to everybody, but I suppose you should say that in your mind towards anybody. All sentient beings are really, even if they are very difficult, it is only by working with difficult sentient beings you have a chance to gain enlightenment. Even if somebody is very aggressive, only by working with sentient beings like this, then I have chance to to calm my own aggression and become tolerance. Even somebody's really wanting this from you, you should think, oh, it is through this, working with this sentient being who wants so much from me, I have chance to give something. What can I give? What I haven't given before that I really should give to sentient beings like this who did. Because only by working with sentient beings' need and being able to do something useful, I have chance to gain Buddhahood. So always not look at sentient beings and say, what have I got from this person? What I want from this person? What I want him to do, this and that. If he says this, then I love him. If he doesn't, I hate him. Not that kind of thing. As soon as you see someone, oh, what good I can do through this sentient, only by working with such sentient being, then I have chance to make progress on the path of Buddhahood. And therefore look at them with a lot of tenderness, loving hearts. They say loving hearts. How do you know people lovingly looking at you? You have to look with a lot of tenderness and love and care and gentleness and skillfulness. It's TLC we're talking about. So Shantideva says you should look at sentient beings lovingly, with tenderness and with care. Even if they're about to give you a fright or something, you should still look at them with kindness and gentleness. Don't show the hostility to sentient beings. If you do, you're missing the point. It's with sentient beings, like aggressive sentient beings, you can practice patience. So therefore, you have excellent opportunity to turn these sentient beings' approach to you as excellent kind of stepping stone for you to make progress for the benefit of all sentient beings. So this is actually what mindfulness is. When you look at sentient beings, and don't think of, I desire him, I hate him, I don't like him, things like that. Only by working with sentient beings like this, I have an opportunity to make progress with sentient beings. So don't see them as objects of desire. Don't see them as objects of enmity. Don't see them as an object of competitiveness. Don't see them objects of your contempt and kind of ridicule, but see them with great tenderness and love and care and loving heart. And if you find yourself doing that, you definitely have the Bodhi. You really have your mind being able to now look in this. Shantideva says, when you catch a sight of others, what do? You look at them. In the modern world, if you see somebody stranger looking at you, they think, why you look at me? Terrible, isn't it? But if somebody looking at you, you should say, "Well, what can I do for them? Is there anything I can do? Then maybe there is something. Maybe I should find out." You have to say, look with some kind of care and tenderness and optimism. Don't always look at the strangers with as a danger. Stranger danger, they call it. Terrible. I mean, strangers look stranger on the surface, but who knows? If you really get to talk to them, they might have something to teach you. They may have something to inform you and reform you. So don't treat everyone with contempt or with a kind of prejudicial view right from the very beginning. Look at them with great cause, great purpose, great tenderness, and great loving concern and empathy and compassion and generosity, just the way you look at them with kind of a compassionate and willingness to listen and cooperate. And that is mindfulness of what do you do when you catch the sight of other sentient beings. See them as a cause of your enlightenment. See them as a cause of your growth. See them as a companion for your spiritual progress, not as an opposition, not as a hindrance whatsoever. If you have now, this will tell whether you're guarding your mind or not. If you're guarding your mind, this is how you will think when you see sentient being. When you see sentient being, that's amazing thing. This is verse number 81. Always fired by highest aspiration. Yeah. So you should put your mind in the highest aspiration. The bodhicitta, laboring to implement the antidotes. Yeah. You're going to work. You're going to labor to implement, means to practice the antidotes. Whatever is the thing that we need to remedy, you should see, whatever you see something, you should see what's the antidote to that. If somebody is aggressive to you, you should say, what's the antidote to that? Somebody is a little miserable. What's the antidote to that? Somebody is a little fearful. Think of what is the antidote to that. Somebody is a little bit aggressive to you. What is the antidote to that? Always think of what is the antidote to that, rather than what did he do wrong. How long is wrong? If your mind is completely missing the point of not looking for the antidote, the wrong seems to last very long. They're trying so hard to find a vaccine for this COVID-19, since now 10 months, and they're really working so hard. How long is this COVID-19 wrong? Until we develop an antidote, Now everybody's being slightly kind of motivated and inspired by likelihood of developing one, say, next few months. They're talking about having a great level of success in their trials. Amazing. How long is this terrible pandemic is going to be pandemic? Not very long. Why? Because you're always thinking of what antidote what medicine, what vaccine you can develop. So don't think about the wrong as a truly existing wrong. So how long, how dirty is the shirt? If you have a dirty shirt, think of what soap you use to wash it. Don't think about, I got a dirty shirt, what I'm going to do, and then think completely cornered by that. Always think of the antidote. If somebody is noisy, making noise around your house, don't think they are the problem. What's the antidote to that? Tolerance. Tolerance. Don't complain them they are doing noise pollution. But try to, impatient pollution is the biggest pollution. Noise pollution only when the noise there, but we are impatient, constantly hating them for making the noise. You got to learn how to remedy those. It is the antidote you need to develop. You need to implement the antidote. You will gather the virtues in the fields, because means when you think of the antidote, then you develop the very qualities that is required for the antidote to be developed. You will gather virtues in the fields of qualities, of benefits, and of sorrow. You might have suffering, you might have tragedy, you might have pandemic, you might have a lot of people distressed, but that will cause lots of people to do something about it, out of their pocket, out of their generosity, then people realize, there was no use keeping in your wallet when you can give someone who's more needy. See, antidote for poverty is generosity, not complaining about the poverty. Complaining about the poverty is called perpetuation, samsara. But what is the antidote to the poverty? What's the antidote to the impatience? What is the antidote to the aggression? One who has a mind thinks of that. He doesn't talk about what other person did. He focuses straight away what he can do about it instead. Not wasting time complaining who did the wrong, getting it right, go through the long process of going to the court, try to prove something wrong. But what can you do something about it now? The question isn't who did wrong. The question is, what are you going to do about it? Do you have any antidote? Or you're going to throw the dirt on everybody's head as if there's not enough dirt. That's what all the modern problem-solving techniques. They just go to the witch hunt. They try to make as though there never had been anything like that. They react and overreact in such a way and make everybody distressed. They find an antidote. Find a solution. And a lot of people quite a lot of people would have donated heaps of a lot of money to develop the COVID-19 vaccine. There are lots of philanthropic organizations pouring millions. Did you know that? You look at all the charitable organizations; they're giving so much instead of making so much noise and then sort of protesting in the street. And instead of reacting like that, do something useful. What is the antidote? What is the antidote? If you have someone who has a particular behavior problem, how do you tolerate it? How do you help that person to correct their behavior in a very skillful, not just compassion but wisdom? You should learn to find an antidote. Antidote is compassion. Antidote is wisdom. Antidote is not punishment. Antidote is not sort of highlighting their mistake, and amplify them, and then make everybody know who did what, that kind of thing. This is completely samsara of perpetuation. Perpetuation doesn't stop the problem. It perpetuates. It promotes the problem unceasingly. So that's why samsara means perpetuation. You're just perpetuating something to ceaselessly continue by not developing antidotes, and then always blaming, always pointing finger out somewhere. That is not one who guard the mind. This chapter is about how to guard the mind, not about how to find fault at others. Buddhist teaching never talks about the fault of other people. We deluded sentient beings always talk like that. So if you have refuge in the Dharma, which is the antidote, you should stop talking about the flaws of other people as if there is no flaw in you at all. Look at your own flaws. If you're so keen interested, just list all the flaws in your own emotions, your own behavior, your own past. You can be so eloquent, so articulate about pointing about other people's faults. That is not Buddhism. That is perpetuation. That is samsara drama of samsara. So that's what Shantideva is saying. How to be kindly find an antidote instead of labor yourself to find antidote, not otherwise. You will gather virtues in the field. Means by working with those difficulties, you will gather skill and qualities and virtues, and they will have lots of benefit to other people. If you develop the vaccine benefit will be enjoyed by everybody, and then you will be able to even be able to utilize sorrow itself. The sorrow doesn't go wasted. Sorrow becomes the cause of compassion. Sorrow is not independently cause of sorrow. Sorrow, if understood properly, is cause of all the compassion. Nobody wants anyone to have sorrow and pain and suffering, isn't it? So sorrow is the cause of the compassion. That's why in Buddhism, sorrow and sufferings are very important, because your antidote to sorrow and suffering comes from understanding sorrow and suffering, not by denouncing, rejecting, denying, and resisting. You don't do that. So you got to embrace the sorrow and its causes. Then there is a great field of merit that comes from working with this situation. 81. And that was number 82. 82 goes, Gashing, Kishin Gatan Denche, Lenam Daki Dakto Cha, Lenam Kunla Sulaya, Tebra Chawa Maino. Acting thus with the faith and understanding, so meaning that you will now become very, very conscientious, and you will always undertake good works. So because you are now very, very positive, very, 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 very optimistic, you have faith. You have faith and understanding, so you're acting based on faith and understanding. Those who don't have this, have their mind, they are acting on behalf of suspicion, doubt, and misunderstanding. So those who have no mind, they are acting on the basis of the fear and doubt and in risk and misunderstanding. They talk about that all the time. The people who have found the Dharma, they will act instead with faith. Even things are difficult, try to think about the antidote. Don't highlight always the risk all the time. We know enough risk. Now try to see what can you do about it. What are the remedies? What are the preventative measures? How can we exterminate those risks and those problems? Instead of being so fearful, always saying, we this, always fear-mongering, always worried about as if there was some perfect world if you didn't have this problem. Not like that. What can you do about it? Do something about it. Yeah, have faith. Have faith. Human beings have, rescued themselves from many awful situations in the past, and we are becoming more civilized, more cooperative, sharing resources and knowledge and everything like no other time. They have a thing called World Health Organization. I mean, there were no such things before. I don't know, before they started. They were anyone who looked different, they went and shoot it. Like the white people came to Australia first, 200 years ago, and they came and shot most of the people, because they have no understanding that there were other human beings whose land they were invading. They didn't know they were invading. They think they just what is their reason? They could discover Australia or something, which is condescending, which is quite insulting to the indigenous people when they talk about discovering Australia. I mean, they've been here like 40,000 years, and you come and put a little flag and say you discover Australia. What a kind of insulting thing it is, So therefore, one has to understand the good things, how to work with things. And with whatever action you perform, you will not be calculating with your eyes on others. So this is very good, isn't it? So, so you're not always thinking of what he did to me, what he gave to me, what do I owe him? He owe me this. That kind of mean and calculated. You should not spend time in that. Whatever action you perform, you will not be mean and calculating in things, and always think of what the person is worth to me, and do I need to do anything for him? What he's done? Always think like. But we know we have forgotten who they were for so many lifetimes. You might think only in this finite life whether the person has done this much to me or hasn't done this to me. When you think like that, you're so mean-minded. You're so small-minded. You shouldn't be so calculated and so mean-spirited. If you have your mind and faith and understanding, you will learn to undertake good works by not thinking like that. You realize everything you do will have certain outcomes from what you do based on your faith and understanding. If you're investing on the calculating and only thinking on others and always a little bit of suspicions and you can't trust people and you're always fearful of other people and your mind is always judging and assessing and kind of become nitpicking somebody, you would not get anything done. So therefore, you have to have faith and understanding in humanity. You have to be very optimistic in each other, and so whatever action you perform, you will rely mostly in the good conscience of yourself. And if you have good conscience, you will be able to relate with others, whatever situation they are there. You need to tailor your skillfulness to be able to work with them rather than thinking that you can't work with them and then reject them outright. And this kind of attitude makes yourself become arrogant and very difficult to work with anyone. You cannot hear other people's point of view, and you want only your point of view to be heeded to and respected to, as that is the best of all. If there are 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 other people, you got to see what everybody's point of view is, and then on the basis of the consensus, with the benefit of everybody's consultation, even if your opinions is your opinion, but it may have to be put aside. But maybe sometimes your opinion has a lot of valid facts in it. People acknowledge that, and they will all acknowledge that. And that without other people, you could not say my opinion is only good. You need to have people who understand and honor and respect and implement it. So that's why we're so dependent. We're so dependent on how we how we work on by where we look at other people, what we see of them or in them, often dictated by kind of attitude we have that are taking over our mind now. So that's why. It's very important to see become very, very subjectively aware of how we are relating to other people. Do we have a lot of faith and understanding and optimism and have respect to other people? When you have that, your reading will be determined by that. And you'll be able to undertake good works because you're able to invest your thought in the goodness of other people instead of being very mean and calculating, saying he won't do it, he can't do it, don't think he is up to it. When you start thinking doubtful things, then the doubt and the prejudices start making yourself perceive that in the object, and you're not even aware. It's all your thought about someone, all your opinion about somebody. It's not about them at all. You have very little understanding and faith in the other person. You have complete stubbornness into believing your own neurosis, your negative perceptions and criticism as them. You don't know how to distinguish between your opinion and the object, and so therefore be gentle. Be gentle in not being so calculating and always looking on the other people. Just see if you have faith and understanding, you will be able to always take good deeds, and achieve some good deeds. So I will. Thank you. Somebody saying, Ngawan Tenzin says, good teaching, thank you, continue teaching, teach Tibetan language, will appreciate more. Yeah, that's right. Of course, he wants me to teach in Tibetan. That's very good. That's possible. Thank you, Ngawan Tenzin La. Ngawan Tenzin La, Ngawan Tenzin Gyatso, Trashidele, Ngawan Tenzin Gyatso Kaware. So, rejoicing in others' success. Phil from Dharamsala. Hello, Phil. And Catherine and everybody there. Thank you. Thank you. All your comments. Thank you very much. I'm able to do that by having that. Thank you very much, everybody listening. So this is a very wonderful section we have done tonight. I think I'll stop there tonight. So thank you very much, everybody, and it's very good to pay heed to Shantideva and try to distinguish our mind from others. What we see others is not identical to what others are, because if you lump some people or these people or like that, you just see you're completely impaired by your own prejudices and your own fears and your own things. If you think positive things with faith and understanding to them, then you can see something good in the other people doing. It's amazing things. Sentient beings have perceptions that are dictated by their own deluded mind or otherwise. You don't have to have deluded perception if you choose that is deluded. But if you think that they are object is truly existing object, then you have lost yourself into believing that the object is identical to your perception. You should be able to distinguish your perception. It says that deluded sentient beings have impure perceptions. And yogis or practitioners, if there are any practitioners, if they spend time doing practices and sadhanas and meditation, they should at least have some kind of perception that is transformable. They said to the yogis there is an experiential perception. Experience doesn't mean what you experience. Experience means how you have learned to swap and change modify your perceptions. Because when you're deluded, you have this perception, and when you drop the delusion and anger and fear and suspicion and like that, then you realize when you don't have that, it's like you're putting on a new goggle. You put on a new spec and then you see that differently. So you have to win your mind back. Otherwise, you're losing to your goggle, your glass that is all shattered or broken. You don't look through that tainted glass anymore, and because that's a deluded perception. And Shantideva is saying how you should look at sentient being with tenderness and faith and understanding. Then you will be able to work with them. Then you don't see those opposite to faith and understanding. What is the opposite of faith? It's doubt and kind of prejudices and suspicion. As if other people are like this against me, type kind of attitude. Because when you don't have faith, you start seeing the opposite of faith. And then, instead of understanding, all your understanding is misunderstanding, but we think it's my understanding. And we think it's reliable and accurate. So that's exactly we don't want to lose. If the practitioner have to have the ability to vary their experiences depending what kind of thought process they are subscribing to. Your experience is totally dependent on your thought process, not of people or objects. People, objects are just a small part of it, but the one who projects that perception is none other than ourselves. So if you have faith and understanding, you will do a completely different projection. You can project differently. There's on the screen, whatever you project, it will manifest. If you project faith and understanding, you will see pictures caused by that. If you invest on doubt and fear and misunderstanding, then all of these will manifest to you. It will only be it will haunt the very person who projected that. So that's why we have to be generous. We have to be kind to each other. We have to learn to have faith and understanding, with which then it says you should not be calculating. You should not be very presumptive of what you think of other people. And you have not totally checked at all. It's all your deluded perception, or your very kind perception. If there's nothing that dictates the perception other than the very mind and opinion that we have in a mind that actually makes us to see the other thing. There is no identical perception. If you ask somebody else what they perceive, you might have half a dozen other people who see that, but how about the other 94 people? 94 people out of 100, you are always a minority. Majority have a completely different perception. Why? Because they're not looking from the angle that you chose, that is so poor, so calculating, so mean, and so unrespectful, so ungrateful, and so negative. Shantideva is saying that we should learn, act thus with faith and understanding. And then you will be able to work with others, and then you start seeing those. Then you will be able to perform yourself, and you will be quite agile, you will be quite flexible, and you wouldn't only see from one very kind of a slanted view. And so that's why you will not be calculating with your eyes on others. Why? Because you're not impaired by that. Because you have faith and understanding and respect and kindness and understanding of the other people. When you don't understand, there's a lot of negativities. When you understand, there's a lot of positivity. It opens a way. It's just one is light, the other is darkness. So if you're feeling very miserable and dark and things like that, it's all because of projection of the deluded mind. That's why it says, for the deluded sentient being, there's impure perception. It doesn't say there is a perception that is always impure from the perception point of view. It's a deluded mind will see even the Buddha. They will see with faults. like Devadatta and others who didn't see the Buddha, they will see these their competitor, their rival. So even the Buddha doesn't appear in so the people whose mind is so worked up by the affliction, but the person who do transform their mind, they will see the good in everyone. They will be able to see the good in everyone because they have faith and understanding. So that's why the faith and understanding is such a such a thing you couldn't buy, you couldn't get from anywhere, but you have to reconstitute your mind in that way. Even if you meditate, even you recite mantras, so what? Your mindset is still not changing. So you have to see, if the prayers and mantras you're saying, you have to relearn to reconstitute your attitude. Don't see that always from that kind of angle. When you do, then the Dharma is not there. So you got to recite those mantras, prayers, try to reconstitute your mind so that you're not always looking from that slanted window or slanted point of view. And when you're able to do that, then your aspiration to practice Dharma will always undertake good works. You will find good thoughts, reconciliatory thoughts, kind thoughts, respectful thoughts, forgiving thought, and actually you can even unsubscribe some of the thoughts and opinions that you used to have, because you are able to now recognize, you are conscious to know from poison and medicine. If you're thinking afflictive mind, then it will see afflictive negative things, negative seeds. But if you think of positive things, then it will cause the similar perception. So with this, we will conclude here. Thank you everyone for your participation and listening, because it's not just listening to exactly what I was saying, but I'm sure you will be able to sort of compare your notes in your mind. Yes, I really want to think like that. I really don't want to think that all the way. That's terrible, so debilitating, such a waste of time, so stubborn to think this way. Shantideva is helping us to share his realization and helping us to think what alternative ways of thinking we may have at our disposal. So with this in mind, we will conclude here. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, everybody. Take care, and I will do the dedication merit. May all of you to find antidote. And hello, Claire. She says, I'm off to make an antidote. That's good. And, yeah, learn to cook antidotes. Learn to cook an antidote. If the flame is too big, it will burn. So even though your food is good, but you got to make sure the temperature is right. Yeah. Sometimes the antidote is the temperature. Sometimes the antidote is the duration, how long you put. Not necessarily every ingredient is there, but that you left it too long, or you didn't leave it long enough in the oven, or whatever. So the antidote might be just the kind of a moderation of the effort that one needs to employ. So with this, I will thank you, everyone, and do the dedication of merits. Please share the thing you are watching if you like it, because you wouldn't believe, if you have 20 friends, if not all of them, if just 2 of them saw it, it might be a gift they have been missing in their life, because that's how Dharma is such an important thing in the maze of worldly activities. Very few people find Dharma, and Dharma is not trying to make people change religion, but Dharma is trying to make themselves sane, and be gentle, and be thoughtful, and be respectful, and be gentle with themselves, and so on. So with this, we'll now conclude to the dedication merits. Thank you for all of your time. No bade mere me havaraga dareva benzege homneze me ale bere rabi from the ocean of Bodhisattva, Niranda Mahayana teaching, whatever merit I have accrued, may hope it becomes ten levels to the Mahayana teaching, courage, manjushing, as a manda life, following our example, I shall dedicate the merit, may the excellent Bodhisattva Tebe Vedanaya, where it has been born, may it increase freely without generation. Janju Samjo Rinpoche, Majeba Namaje Jurje, Jeba Nyamba Meba Ye Gonen Gondo Bewara Jo Jamba Bo Chidren Jamba Da Ingundu Zamba Deyan Dejendo Teda Gunje Jesu Dala Je Gawan Deda Dam Radu Nga Yeduzan Shibi Jawa Dam Je Ngawa Ganla Jodu Ngawa Dage Geve Zawan De Gunje Sambo Jeje Radu Ngawara Je. Thank you, everyone. Stay safe.